Omaha's news leader, chronicling the stories and people making a difference in our community. This is KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle.
Hey, good morning, and thanks for joining us. I'm Rob McCartney. Nebraska's highest court has a new Chief Justice. Mike Heavican retired after nearly 20 years as the leader. Now his former Associate Justice, Jeffrey Funk, is at the helm. This morning, we're talking with both of them about the future of the state Supreme Court and what can be done to aid in transparency across our justice system. First, Mike Heavican announced his retirement in August, 50 years after graduating from the University of Nebraska's law school. His entire career has been in the public sector, including Lancaster County Attorney, U.S. Attorney, and finally Chief Justice. Well, Chronicle's Andrew Ozaki shared this report in the weeks before Heavican's retirement.
When Mike Heavican hangs up his robe at the end of October, the farm kid who graduated from Schuyler Community High School will have been the second longest serving Supreme Court Chief Justice in Nebraska history.
This is a dream job for anybody, any lawyer certainly, but I'll be proud of the accomplishments that everybody had while I was Chief Justice.
One accomplishment, trying to make what some call the forgotten branch of government more visible and accessible to the public.
In this day and age, people need to understand and appreciate what the judiciary is and why you need to have a sound, functioning judiciary, or you simply will not have a democracy.
Heavican resumed annual State of the Judiciary addresses to the legislature, expanded cameras in the courtroom, webcasting of proceedings, and even taking some Supreme Court hearings on the road to high schools across the state. Days after taking office, he gave KETV News Watch 7's Rob McCartney an exclusive behind-the-bench look at the High Court.
The sense of history has it hit you yet?
Once in a while it does, but I try not to let it overwhelm me.
Heavican has placed an emphasis on how children are treated in the court system, streamlining child welfare cases and bolstering training and expectations for guardian ad litems.
The Supreme Court doesn't emphasize that. Our trial court judges won't emphasize that.
He pushed to modernize the courts using technology for e-filing and using video streaming for hearings.
If we had not started that process before the pandemic, we would have been in great trouble.
He's also been an advocate for juvenile justice reform, probation, and expanding problem-solving courts.
I heard people talk about how this had changed their lives, saved their families, and so forth. I became a big advocate and supporter.
Attorneys on both sides of the gavel believe he's been fair and apolitical in his tenure. Heavican wishes more could have been accomplished on justice reform and creating a simplified one-tier trial court system.
I think I gave it my very best, and I'm very comfortable and confident that whoever follows me will do a very good job.
Andrew Ozaki, KETV News Watch 7.
Now, since leading the Supreme Court in 2006, Heavican's seen and heard a lot. And now that he's retired, I sat down with him to talk about some of his accomplishments and what he'd like to see out of the state's highest court now that he's hung up the robe.
I hope it was that I made the courts a little bit more visible than they had been. When I came on board, I heard a lot of wringing of hands and gnashing of teeth about the judiciary being the forgotten branch of government. And of course, by its very nature, the judiciary is not ever going to be able to compete with the legislature or the governor as far as publicity and being in the news and that sort of thing. But nevertheless, it deserves to be visible, and the citizens of Nebraska or anywhere else deserve to see what the judiciary does and have some grasp of how important an independent judiciary is. So we worked on that in a number of ways. For one thing, we started webcasting our oral arguments that we do here in the appellate courts, the Nebraska Supreme Court, the Nebraska Court of Appeals, so that now folks can watch those arguments. They don't have to come down to to the Capitol building to do that, and so folks got to see a little bit of that. Then we worked a lot on getting cameras into our trial courts, which was a big thing. We had some opposition to that from some of our trial court judges. I think.
Why is that transparency important?
Well, if the citizens, the taxpayers don't see what's going on in their courtrooms, they have less of an appreciation for it. I personally think it has worked out for the judiciary and the legislature. I think the legislature also sees how the courts are functioning more than they perhaps did. So we've had some very good budget years with the legislature, and we've had some good salary support from the legislature for our judges.
You mentioned the legislature. I wanted to ask you, every year you have to make a pitch to the legislature. It's the state of the judiciary. As you said, staffing is up from pre-pandemic levels. Salaries are up. Do you have enough money?
Well,
is there ever enough money from the legislature?
We always did. There were some years, I commented the other day, over the last 5 years, I think we gave $45 million back to the general fund, and that's largely because the judiciary has run probation very efficiently and very well.
Do we have enough problem-solving courts? Do we need more of them?
Judges sometimes burn out on that. It's a judge-intensive way of working with offenders, many of whom are drug addicts, and it's difficult to get people to break those addictions, break those habits. So that can be wearing on a judge, and they frequently do it for a few years, 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then they want to rotate out.
Is that strictly voluntary on the judge, or
Yes.
can the Chief Justice say you need to go there and do that?
No, it is strictly voluntary.
So how do you get them to sign on if they find out that this may burn you out in 3 years?
It depends really on the goodwill of the judges, and we've got a lot of good judges around the state of Nebraska, and many of them want to do it, and they volunteer to do it.
Juvenile crime, juvenile justice, huge issue.
Yeah.
You mentioned we only have 4 juvenile detention facilities in the state, and none of them west of Lincoln.
Right.
Is that okay?
No, that is not okay. That is absolutely awful.
So what do we do?
Well, there needs to be a concerted effort. I think it needs ultimately to come down to the legislature. The formula that is used now is backwards. Every county should have to fund juvenile detention facilities just like they fund a jail or part of a jail. Many counties obviously get together or contract with another county for their jails, and that's the way that the juvenile detention should be done also. The way it's set up now is either Health and Human Services or probation, both state agencies, are paying the counties to detain juveniles, and there's not a lot of incentive for the counties to do anything about it. But they really need to reverse the way that funding is done for juvenile detention, in my opinion.
What if they don't?
Then you're still going to be hobbling around with 4 facilities, all in eastern Nebraska. So we have detained kids in Iowa rather than in Nebraska sometimes, because it's much cheaper to pay for detention apparently in Iowa than it is in Nebraska, for example.
So basically outsourcing juvenile detention?
Yes.
Baling wire and bubble gum. That's how you described our case management system. How do you fix that?
The court has plans about updating the case management system. The one we have now is very outdated, and everybody knows it has to be replaced. And so the the big problem is money, and then the legislature needs to know some specifics, and everybody else needs to know some specifics. We have talked in terms of 40 or 50 or 60 million bucks. Hopefully it won't be that much, and there's some indication that maybe artificial intelligence will help in this process. So the court is looking at all kinds of different options, but it's a process that has to be done, and one of the scary components of that is cybersecurity.
Stacking of courts is nothing new, of course, that's been going on forever. But what's your take on the possible move to politicize the judiciary?
That's I guess that's part of the political process. Both sides of the equation, both the right and left, in different kinds of situations, want to stack courts or make changes and so forth. And that process is going on. Historically, if you look back, it's going on forever. And I think you just have to have good people in the executive and legislative branches who use their heads, and cooler heads prevail. In the end, everybody needs to realize that an independent judiciary is fundamental to our government, both on the national level and on individual state levels.
Advice for Jeff Funk? Do you have any for him? Did you leave him a little note in the desk?
I didn't leave him a little note, but I once had some good advice early on in my career, and I talked about big shoes to fill. And a lawyer who had come in to talk to me, this was when I was first the county attorney, said, wear your own shoes. And I think that is my advice to him. There are always new problems that come along, and he'll have to face those new problems.
What do you hope your legacy is here?
Well, I never really thought in terms or think in terms of legacy. I hope my legacy is that courts are a little bit more open, and I hope that I always tried to ask our judges, is there a way we can do this better?
And next here on KETV News Watch 7's Chronicle, a conversation with the new Nebraska Supreme Court Chief Justice. The Honorable Jeffrey Funk explains his goals while he's at the helm and how the courts can work on that transparency.